We believe that we should be like Jesus. We recognize that to accomplish this divine task, we need his help. An honest question is, do we really want to be like Jesus? The other day during my quiet time, I wondered if Jesus came and lived on the earth today, as he physically once did, who would he spend time with that would offend me, as he did to the church people of his day? Would it be a certain segment of individuals that he would reach out to that would make me feel uncomfortable in their diversity? Maybe how he would challenge me would be by relating to God in my life in a more intimate way that was uncomfortable. I think Jesus might challenge each of us regarding how faith and our emotions integrate. Matt will describe an old and new way of ministering to men. I wonder, like Jesus, in trying to help us, if we will become offended by Matt's challenging message. I hope not.
Addressing porn addiction among men in the church is so very important, but porn use is really just a symptom of a deeper issue. This issue is that men have often been taught to hide their feelings, deny their feelings, appear successful at all costs, and show no weaknesses. This lesson often came in the form of emotional neglect and hurt at a very young age. In this video, we'll discuss how emotion-focused men's ministries can open up the door for a healthy church at every stratum and address porn use as well. I have this memory of men's ministry at my church growing up. It was this rare father-son event at a park in the evening. There was a large fire and some snacks. The main feature of the time was a Bible talk that, as a young person, I found incredibly boring. After the talk ended, I looked at my father to see if we were done, father or sonning, and he seemed uncomfortable. I looked at the other men and I saw that too. I remember thinking that maybe I'm not alone in how difficult it felt to connect with a father. You see, that man across the circle, he was mean. His son tells me about the yelling, and I see it when I visit his house. That other man over there is divorcing my friend's mom, and they fight a lot. That one punishes his kids harshly, uses guilt to manipulate them, and I'm scared he will force me to do chores with them again if I'm hanging out at their house. And I'm not sure that one over there even speaks. In that moment, I thought, I never want to be a man like that. The group split up at the end into men and boys. The boys gathered up and tossed balls and goofed around. The men huddled in clumps to chat about whatever adults talk about until it was time to leave. I feel intensely sad about that memory. You see, emotional issues like that leads to men who are unprepared to connect with their families or lead them spiritually. Men's ministry that ignores emotional intimacy is crippled at best. It becomes dry Bible study and work projects. How do we approach this differently? Well, let me outline some steps that can change the fabric of your men's ministry. First, learn about trauma, generational trauma, and father wounds. Develop a cadence of gatherings where men can split into small groups to share about their fathers and the environments they grew up in. Consider inviting a licensed counselor who's a Christian to train the group leaders on simple tools that they can use in those settings, like genograms or trauma eggs, to help the men explore their past. Teach men to not overly blame or minimize their father's impact on their life. Encourage men, or better yet, create opportunities for men to share these insights with their family and ask their children what their experience has been like. 2, utilize curriculum like Emotionally Healthy Spirituality by Peter Scazzaro to connect old caregiver relationships to how we experience our relationship with God. Emotions are not dangerous or code for extreme charismatic displays. They are part of God's image in us. Why would God create us as emotional beings only to punish us for having them or demand that we stifle them? 3, create opportunities for men to share their emotions with one another using tools like a feeling wheel to open themselves to let go of rigid control over their curated personas. 4, place an emphasis on relational and experiential connection to Jesus using contemplative tools. Teach men and give them opportunities to practice silence, solitude, and listening rather than just supplication during prayer. Teach men to sit in and recognize the loving presence of God that is gracefully invading every moment if we would be aware enough to see it. The love of God is a theological reality, but the love of God is not an idea. It is an experience that happens in relationship. God did not just tell his people about his love for them. He came to be with us, to show it, and to bring it to us, and to bring us with him to himself. 5, wash, rinse, repeat. This cannot be a fad or a one-time event. If this is to be effective, it must be just the way that we do men's ministry. Seeking to address pornography in your church will go nowhere without safe places to be vulnerable. Programs that emphasize vulnerability and authenticity lead to intimacy at all levels of the church. In the fertile soil of intimacy, pornography can be addressed as well as marriage, parenting, discipleship, and a host of other issues.